first of all, I say you, Dirangwa Changa, you are doing a very important work of keeping the memory of Ali Mazrui alive. It's very, very important. To me, the way Mazrui was treated by Kenya, where he comes from, makes a statement of what is wrong with our country. We are not always able to recognize what comes from within Kenya. In other words, as if we don't know ourselves, and therefore often we don't really know what we have. Mazrui was, by any standards, one of the leading intellectuals in the world of his time, or even today, right? He was recognized by so many universities in the world, institutions as well, But Kenya, where he comes from, not a single institution, Nairobi University or any other, thought they could offer him or honor him with an honorary doctorate. And this is something which we really have to change. Yeah. Recognize our athletes, our other achievers in every field of our being. Yeah. So that we recognize what comes from within Kenya becomes valuable, not always that which comes from outside. And we don't have to wait for anybody to be recognized, for a Kenyan to be recognized outside before we recognize their achievement. Yeah, that means we're still guided by a colonial mentality, which thinks the best is that which comes from or which emanates from the West. And we have to change and say the best is that which emanates from Kenya. Yeah, from Kenya to the world, from Kenya to the stars, right? Yeah. Anyway, I just want to mention that because something which I feel strongly about. Yeah.
Can you share with me some of the interactions you had with Mazrui?
I had a few interactions with him, particularly Makerere University, where I was briefly in exile from Kenya initially. He's the one who wrote Northwestern and therefore got my job as visiting professor. It was Mazrui's effort. Yeah. And that's how I came to be teaching in America as a visiting professor for the first time. Yeah. Mazrui, also when I was once in 1969, when both of us were at the conference of Africanists in Senegal, I remember I got asthma attack in my room. It was, I think, it was a very serious asthma attack, right? And I remember finally I managed to crawl out of my room downstairs and asked them to call Mazrui, or they did call Mazrui. I don't know whether I asked them to do so or what, but he did in another hotel. And he's the one who arranged for me to, and I was taken to hospital and it was rectified, yeah. But I was really almost dying of this asthma, yeah. That is really at a personal level. And so I all remember his pure generosity, yeah. But of course, intellectually, I saw him at Makerere and in various other fora, when he was always mesmerizing. I remember, for instance, at the 1969 Africanist conference, when it came to his session, people abandoned all their sessions and went to hear him, right? It was amazing to see grown-up professors rushing, almost pushing each other out of the way to be able to find a space to hear Mazrui. Yeah.
He had mentioned to me that at one point you and him had considered to write a biography of Jomo Kenyatta.
Yes, I don't know whether the idea came during the same conference. I think on the same flight, I think to Dakar or back, I don't remember. But that's how the idea was born. Actually, it was Mazrui's idea, and I agreed with it, that we could write a biography of Jomo Kenyatta. And I think he went ahead and put out feelers, and those feelers were not accepted. So the biography never came to be. Yeah. As it is, I'm actually quite relieved that we never did it. I don't know whether our world outlook would have been compatible. I look at the world through class eyes. I look at society through its class structures, And Mazrui tried to look at the world through its ethnic divisions, if you like, and we may have looked at imperialism differently, but I think that would have made it difficult for us to write a biography of Mzee Kenyatta together. You remember my statement, I always say Mazrui was a political scientist with an artistic bent. And his bent involved writing poetry, writing short stories actually, and his very great interest in African literary productions, including the work of Christopher Kigbo, right? So I think to put his idea, I think Mazrui had an aspiration, or seemed to me that he had those aspirations, to write. And the side of him that told him he was a writer who happened to be in politics, right?
Yeah, one of the things he shared with me, I asked him whether he has any regrets, and he said he is a frustrated novelist, and he's a frustrated novelist. And,
okay, yeah.
And he had this idea to write a novel where the main character was supposed to be a Maasai, and then this Maasai would rise to become the head of the Catholic Church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he had that.
Something.
Yeah, so he wanted, so he was asking how the world would look like if we had a Maasai Pope.
A Maasai Pope, oh, wow. That'd be something. Maybe you should write that novel yourself now. Yeah, Maasai Pope, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he really was. Look at his political speeches, for instance. They were full of literary allusions and quotations, okay? Yeah, I think it's true. He had that artistic side, and you can see even his use of language in his political analysis had always that. It was, well, whether you agreed with him or not, but it was wonderful to listen to him, how he weaved words together to make his political statement, yeah. And that's why he could attract crowds, and I'm talking crowds, to his lectures, yeah, right.
Yeah, one of the things I noted in my trouble with him is that every time we got into a plane, if we had a long flight, he would always ask me to go and buy him at least 2 novels. So he used to read a lot of novels when traveling.
Right.
And he was such a fast reader. So he would finish a novel in a couple of hours. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so always have at
Yeah.
least 2 novels. He would always
Yeah. That's
bookstore.
yeah. Yeah. He was what you might call a really highly cultured intellectual. Yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, that's okay. You know, I also edited when I was editor of Zuma magazine. I published, I think, 2 of his short stories actually. So I'm actually his publisher. Yeah, in Zuma, Zuma, no, Zoom, Zuka. Sorry, not Zoom, Zuka magazine. Yeah, well, yeah, and I think one of the magazines I edited in those period, I included one of his short stories. Yeah, yeah.
I remember the last time you were with him, we were together in Binghamton, New York. We were celebrating his 80th birthday. What are your memories about that last encounter with Ali Mazrui?
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, that was my last encounter with him. Of course, him in a wheelchair was always brought about sadness in a way. Yeah. But one of the things I remember was at a meeting or kind of a conversation with Goan. Yeah. I met Goan for the first time alongside Mazrui, right? Whom I never met before. That's quite memorable. But of course, the last image I have is Mazrui in a wheelchair. I never saw him again. Yeah. But I'm glad I was at that conference. One of the most touching things at a personal level was my daughter Mombi, who was I think she was probably a teenager at the time. I think she was an undergrad in Florida University, in Florida, and then she came over and gave a talk, in his memory. That was very touching, and she remembers Mazrui to this day. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very memorable in so many ways. Yeah. But of course, I did not know it would be the last time I was seeing him. I thought I would always see him because, yeah. But the one thing I always say, he was very generous. In a sense, he was, you'd think a person of that international renown who interacted with the presidents, with chancellors of universities, would be arrogant when it comes to those not in his circle. But no, he was actually very, in my view, very accessible. He didn't feel the weight of his renown sitting heavily on you. Right, yeah. I remember when I was editing Mutiri, a magazine, I had asked him for a story or something which would translate into Gikuyu. But one of his position about Mutiri was it should be a bilingual production of Kiswahili and Gikuyu. And I was saying, no, we don't have to do that. African language don't have to be anything than other languages, what they do. In other words, I don't want the Gikuyu language to be justifiable because of Kiswahili or the other way around, But I want the Gikuyu language to have communication in Kiswahili. In other words, to be, because one language, Kiswahili is another language, and the two can have communication. That was my truth. So I never really buy, and I don't like bilingual productions. Yeah, in terms of an African language, it must have an English translated by the side, or as Kiswahili translated by the side. No, if it's Luo, let's just stand by itself. All right. if it's Giriama, let's start by itself. But your good story is written in Giriama. It can be translated into Gikuyu, into Kiswahili, into English, into French, into Mandarin, into Gujarati. I mean, yeah, the sky is the limit, yeah. But otherwise, he was very supportive of the idea of material. You know, he just saw it as maybe my approach would be different. Have a Gikuyu, Kiswahili edition, yeah.
Now, looking back, you know, we lost him almost 10 years ago. When you look at the field of scholarship, of culture, or the culture of letters in East Africa or in Africa in general, what would you now say was Mazrui's contribution?
I would say, and it's something about the title of his film series, you know, Tribe Heritage. It's the concept which was also originally articulated, I believe, by Edward Blyden in 19th century, one of the leading African intellectuals of the time, you know. And Kwame Nkrumah, to a large extent, also embraced the same idea, yeah, idea of tribal heritage. And it is important, that concept still, but it's now more easily associated with Mazrui, but the history, yeah. Yeah, he was a great Kenyan intellectual, African intellectual, world intellectual, and he should be remembered as such. This doesn't mean that one agrees with everything he said, and I'm sure he will not expect everybody to agree with him and every aspect of his pronouncements and so on, you know. But in totality, he was a great intellectual, Kenyan intellectual, African intellectual, global intellectual, and yeah.
Yeah, he used to tell me that his life is a very long debate. So I think he was aware that there were so many people who would not agree with his you know, pronouncement or his position. Right. But he also said those who did not agree with him also helped him a lot because, you know, they opened new perspective for him. And right. he really used to love debates. I think controversies, he often welcomed controversies, and, you know, of course, he was a very good debater. So he welcomed.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Mwalimu.
Okay, thank you for really remembering him, and let's continue honoring him annually. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.